Hello everyone, my name is Maria Camila Ordóñez, and during the following 10 minutes, my teammates and I will address Nestle's strategies to deliver value through supply chain management and channels of distribution. Firstly, it is very important to understand the general outlook on Nestle's global network. Nestle has approximately 442 factories in 86 countries and operations in 197 countries around the world. These blue marks represent the main global headquarters of the company. As you can see, they are concentrated mainly in Asia, Oceania, and Africa, followed by Europe and lastly the Americas. Besides from developing and manufacturing the products, it is in these headquarters where coordination of regional supply is managed. Specifically in Colombia, Nestlé headquarters are near the Gold Museum. Besides, there are 4 factories. The first one in Valledupar, Cesar, where powdered milk and cheese sticks are produced. The second one in Dos Quebradas, Risaralda, where snacks, cookies, and chocolate bars are manufactured. The third one in Buela Grande, Valle del Cauca, where condensed milk, Nescafé, Milo, and Maggi products are manufactured. And the fourth one in Mosquera, Cundinamarca, where the Purina pet food is manufactured.
Good evening to everyone. I will be the person in charge of venturing towards the second section of the current presentation in what relates to the matters of the structure and levels that the company withholds in the distribution channel of Nestle. As a matter of fact, it is noteworthy to clarify that the following information was obtained based on an interview we conducted on a high-ranked specialist who currently works in Nestle. Luis Carlos Delgado is his name, and he currently serves in the position of the Director for Childhood and Nutrition Affairs worldwide. Thus, we consider we have a high degree of reliability in our presentation of facts and schemes. Now, without further notice, we'll continue to the diagram. As we can see, the first instance of the channel is the manufacturer. It's the place and the instance in which the production of the different goods the company provides from its brand portfolio is produced. Thus, the second instance is that we have a carriage and forwarding agent in charge of the redistribution and redirection of the production goods. Thus, in this part, we can see that there's a divergence among 2 different ramifications. On one hand, the carriage and forwarding agent is providing a service of distribution towards the distributor, and on the other hand, to the super stockist. Why do we have this distinction? Firstly, taking into account that the distributor is usually located in urban nuclei. For that reason, it's in charge of the existence and availability of the products in a urban basis where there is a capital and visible market consolidated. Unlike with the super stockist, who is usually located in the peripheral areas surrounding different urban nuclei. In that case, they can provide the availability of the product in case different retailing centers run out of it. For that reason, we have this divergence in which we have this position sustaining this position and vice versa. We have the wholesaler and the retailer in the last instance and the retailer in the last instance. Now, the criteria under which Nestle selects the distributor and the super stockist and the redistributor is based on 4 different items, which were told by Luis Carlos. The capital investment of the different outsourced companies, the relevant practice of these new companies which are contracted for such service, third, infrastructure, and lastly, companies' that are discretion based on markets previously served.
Nestle uses an intensive distribution system. The idea behind this system is the fact that customers are going to buy what is most accessible to them. If they arrive at a supermarket looking for, let's say, Nescafé, and they don't find it, they will just buy whatever is closest to that, in this case, another brand of coffee. The key component for this system to work is market saturation. Nestle have to provide all retailers with a high quantity of their product, so the customers have easy access to it, and thus decide to buy it. Comparing Nestle to other corporations of its size and importance, we found out that they have a very similar supply chain and distribution management. We compared Nestle to Unilever, another very big food conglomerate, and we found out that they both manage their distribution channels through third parties and local partnerships. Both companies are located in many different countries and have developed internal local supply chains and distribution channels in each country. One small difference we found is that Nestle does own some of their supply machinery or equipment. Unilever does not. This allows them to lower their costs by outsourcing everything. Another very important aspect is the environmental issue. Since these companies are so big, they have a very big impact on the environment. They both try to diminish this impact through their supply chain, which is more expensive, but then it gives them a better image towards the public. On a local aspect, Nestle has an advantage over its competitors. Since they have such big and developed logistical networks, their cost for distribution will be lower, which puts them ahead of the competition. On the other hand, this will create a negative image that will drive some of the customers away.
Now let's move on the last part, which is about the diagram of logistics for Nestle. As we always did, we'll take the example of the Nescafé brand, as Nestle owns many brands and it is more relevant to do the exercise for one particular brand. We are going to distinguish two slightly different types of logistics depending on whether the country is growing and harvesting coffee or not. Let's start with coffee growing countries. Nescafé is working with farmers from all over the world for coffee production in countries located in between the two tropics such as Brazil, Costa Rica, Ethiopia, India, Vietnam and of course Colombia. In such coffee growing countries, Nestle buys directly coffee from farmers and take care of the roasting and processing, while farmers take care of the picking activities. Nestle has been building for years warehouses close to coffee farms in order to reduce transportation costs and establish a close relationship with locals. The last one was built in 2013 in the south of Vietnam. The roasting and processing of the coffee are made by Nestle within these warehouses, and it is then made available for shipment to retailers. On the other hand, in European and North American countries, where coffee is not grown but where the consumption is, Nestle buys coffee from dealers. These dealers are responsible for buying coffee from farm and export it to Europe or North America. In both cases, Nestle still handles itself the roasting and the final packaging of the coffee. Then Nestle is paying forwarders through short-term contracts to ship the final product from the warehouse to the retailer, such as Walmart for example. The truck is the main way of transportation used by these companies. Eventually, the final customers is reached through retailers. Let us now have a look at the diagram. As explained before, the only difference occurs at the first stage of the logistics. Depending on the countries, Nestle is buying directly from farmers or indirectly from dealers. Then, from the warehouse stage, it follows the exact same path. Coffee is roasted and packaged by Nestle and sent to retailers through a shipping company. To conclude this video, we are going to make some recommendations to Nestle regarding what we just described and analyzed.
The first suggestion we have for Nestle is to outsource more of their supply chain. This allows them to lower their fixed costs and don't pay fees to their third parties divisions.
The second suggestion we have for Nestle is to reduce their emphasis on their environmental perspective regarding the supply chain. However, this does not mean that the company has to disregard the environmentalist approach. This would help increase the productivity and efficiency in the supply chain, as if this wasn't so significant.
And the third aspect we would suggest to Nestle to be having in mind with regards to the supply chain is the fact that they have to bear in mind the globalization aspect. By this, we mean that they have to take into account how the different productivity ratios and the way in which cities are developing in a worldwide scale will affect the way in which products and availability of them will be supplied worldwide. Thus, they have to bear this in mind in order to acquire a more productive and efficient perspective of the supply.